Hello, fellow synth enthusiasts. Phoenix Song here, and today I will be doing a tutorial on the KORG Wavestate and how to make one of those morphing tones I've been using in a lot of my songs that use it. This time, it's 16 saws, and maybe a few other waveforms, but mainly saws that slowly morph between each other. It's kind of like a wavetable in some ways, but richer in many other ways because these waves tend to have a little bit more character than a wavetable, which is usually like a single cycle. Yeah, some are higher res than others, but this sounds very nice. And today I wanted to show you how to build this from scratch. So the results we may come up with will be a little different than this, but it will be similar to this style and the end result. So what you do first to get a new init performance is it'll usually be at the end. Since I named it 16, that's showing up first. But if you say you're on any of the performances on the Wavestate, if you just quickly turn that knob, you'll go all the way to the beginning and you should find init performance. So you'd hit enter and then you start on this. Much less rich than where we're going towards, but let's show you what you get from init patch. So if you go to the sample lanes, you can see by going this one or hitting shift and go over page. So this moves the cursor one, shift, and the arrow moves a whole page over. So we start with your sine wave. Now, oh yes, it's only 2 waves to start with. I thought it was 3, but it's just 2. So what this starts with is the sine wave and goes to a saw wave. It's kind of a nice start. And I've built from that and just added another one and morphed through that and added some character with a filter and some reverb. And that's how I started designing on the KORG Wavestate. But now I kept going and I made 16 on that. So let's show you how to quickly get from this, because this was one, when I was adding these the first time I started designing, it seemed to take forever. So this is a quicker way to do it. If you go over page, this one, the sample lane utility. So you can do some nice things. What we want to do is insert steps or add steps to the end. That'll do it. So this lane, yes, and go to number steps. So we've only got 2. So if you add 14, we'll fill up 16 steps. And there's no importance to 16 in particular, but I'll show you why that's kind of a handy place to start from. Okay, now let's go back a few pages. Okay, so if these buttons now become quick keys to go to all the different pages here. And so we've got a lot of that saw wave. And it still sounds exactly the same because it's the loop points are still doing what they need to do. So you quickly just go over here and change that loop end all the way to 16, A16. You can have more steps than that, but I find this is a natural way to go because you'll have these buttons can quickly shift you over from any of those spots, which is important. I think 16 for something like this is more than enough. And let's go through that. So you start here. And what I did on this last one that I showed as the demo was a bunch of different saws, you know, and you turn the knob, you start going into the sample explorer or whatever. This time, let's do something different because I already have that. Let's do some bigger mixture. Great, that sounds cool. And if you go, you can see it's, yeah. Okay, so by hitting enter and the sample key, you'll get into the browser for the sample lane. All right, and then go over a page, and then let's go let's keep adding different waveforms, and let's get a little bit more crazy this time. Okay, we already have one of those. Yeah, square. Hit enter to get out of that page. And sure, why not? And this is just a quick way. And obviously when you're doing this, you can choose things a little more carefully, but I'm trying to go quick here to demonstrate how quickly you could get through this stage in the phase. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Okay, let's keep going. And I want some more square waves. Yep. Let's do, ooh, I like the Seiko wave, yes. There are a lot of them in here, so you might have to use other techniques to get around quicker. Yeah, magic block. Yeah. Ooh, some noise, that'll be nice. And if we get to this and you hear some that you don't like, you can always kick them out. You'll see them when they travel through. You'll be able to target the ones that don't sound good, but this way you can, yeah, let's get some triangles in there. And we're almost done with this stage. Not too many vocals. No. Synth Guru, yeah. So this is a nice point in the process where you've got all 16 samples or waves different. Right, so now we've gone through all of it, even though it's still traveling over there. What I often do, because it becomes too similar as you play it again and again, you're like, that's the same little sequence going on every time. So almost always turn on the random order so that each note will trigger a different sequence of random waves going on there. And then the experience is very different each time. You've got a nice dynamic soundscape happening all the time. So yeah, I don't really like that noise in here. It's maybe for another thing it would be cool, but let's go ahead and change that. So it was this one. Let's not do noise. That's cool. So make your own shapes like that, and this is a nice starting point. This is probably the most unique part to the KORG Wavestate that I'm trying to show you. It's not any magic, and you can do it pretty quickly that way. The next phases are to sculpt it with the filter a little bit and give it a little bit of effects. I don't like to give it too much effects on this, because when you do, you start to lose that nice character of all the wave sequencing happening, and it just starts to sound like some sort of general effect. So, but let's give it some tuning. I like the MS-20 filter often. Now, because we could give it some envelope based on this, let's change that. So let's give it a little attack, bigger decay, bring that sustain down, give it some release. And on the amp, let's give it a little bit of release too, so it doesn't just cut off when you let go. I think this one could use a bit of reverb. It's definitely different than my last concoction. Yeah, reverb on this because we've got a few of those EPs and other digitally sounding waves, so the reverb is nice. And that's pretty nice. We might call it there. Another one I like in here on the filter type is use a multi-filter, and custom is nice, but you can also use something a little simpler, like any of these create some nice filter. I think this, gives it a more modern sound. I really like that. So high pass into band pass, that's nice. Maybe a little darker. All right, so that's that phase. You can obviously make different choices on there and just try out some different things. Let's go into the filter section. I want to show some things here. So obviously we could modulate the filter a lot more and create more variants, but try that. I would definitely do that. I have on the past, but I wanted to show something else here. Making the pan a little random is a great way to work with wave sequencing here. Let's go. So yes, turn on the random and starts to create really nice energy there. So some of the other things I would do is all the timing loops are all the same because you're slowly just morphing from one to the other, and that works here. You could play around with that if you didn't want them all to be the same amount of weight in your mix, but it just keeps it simple if you keep them all the same at this stage in the game. The next stage would be to add another layer with a different character. So this one would be the smooth warping layer, and then on top of that you could have a more percussive layer. I won't get into that this time because there's just so many ways you could add all 4 layers, and I like to just use all 4 layers tied together as a super rich synth and use other synths for other roles in the complete sound. But that is a way to do that. And I'm going to just leave that here so we don't go on forever. So that's about it for today. I'm Phoenix Song, and I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to this channel because we are trying to just grow this out, get more people involved, and do some cool stuff here. So thanks, and hope to hear some comments in the discussion here. Let me know what you're looking for next. Definitely going to be doing more MC707. I wanted to get to this first because as I hinted at in an earlier video, going to try to do some wave sequencing on the MC707, which is much less natural than here, but I thought it would be fun to do, and then we could get more on that. But this is obviously probably the king of wave sequencing, so wanted to just this is the most natural place to do it.